I never thought I'd burn my own house down, but on that Christmas Eve, with the snow whipping against the windows like God's own fury, I lit the match that ended everything. They had just thrown my daughter, Lily, out into the cold, 18 years old, pregnant, and screaming that she hated them all, while my sister-in-law sneered from the armchair, her diamond earrings glinting like the ice in her voice. "She's a whore, Alex," Evelyn said, as if the word could justify it, as if it erased the blood on their hands that I'd wiped clean for years. And in that moment, as Lily's sobs echoed down the driveway, I realized the truth. Forgiveness isn't a gift you give, it's a chain you forge, and mine had rusted through. It started 20 years ago, back when I was Alexandra Hayes, fresh out of community college in Spokane, Washington, with dreams bigger than the mill town I grew up in. I was 22, waitressing at the local diner, saving for a ring that never came, when I met Richard. He was the golden boy of the family, Yale law grad slumming it in the Pacific Northwest to find himself, as his parents put it. The Whitmans, old money from Seattle, whispers of timber barons and shady real estate deals, saw me as the perfect arm candy. "She's got that all-American grit," Richard's mother, Margaret, cooed at our first dinner, her eyes appraising me like a knockoff purse. I should have seen the trap then, but love's a blindfold, and his was velvet. We married fast, in a backyard ceremony with plastic forks and a keg, because Richard said he couldn't wait. Lily came 9 months later, a squalling bundle that tied me to him like concrete shoes. But the cracks showed early. Richard's cases kept him away, late nights at the office turning into hotel bars, lipstick on collars I pretended not to notice. Then, the fall of '05, the scandal that nearly buried the Whitmans. Richard's father, Edward, had cooked the books on a waterfront development, millions in kickbacks from Chinese investors, funneled through shell companies. The feds were circling, subpoenas flying like confetti at a funeral. I didn't know the details at first. I was home with Lily, changing diapers and microwaving mac and cheese, when Richard burst in one rainy afternoon, face pale as the Puget Sound fog. "Alex, we need to talk." He paced the kitchen, "I ask you," while I stirred formula with one hand and held our daughter with the other. He confessed it all, the bribes, the falsified permits, how Edward had dragged the whole family into the web. "If it comes out, we're done. Prison for Dad, disbarment for me and Mom." She'd never survive the shame. His eyes, those blue Whitman eyes, pleaded, "But there's a way out. You could. Take the fall." Me? I laughed at first, a bitter bark that startled Lily into a wail. I was nobody, a waitress with a high school diploma and a community college associate's in business that I'd never used. "Why me?" "Because I was clean," he said. "No ties to the firm, no paper trail. I'd sign a plea deal, accessory after the fact, maybe a year in minimum security, probation. In exchange, the Whitmans would pay off the mortgage, set up a trust for Lily, make sure I came out whole." "It's one bad decision, Alex," Richard whispered, kneeling by my chair. "For us. For her." I looked at Lily, her tiny fists waving like she was already fighting the world, and I signed. The trial was a circus. Front-page headlines in the Seattle Times. Timber heiress's daughter-in-law in bribery scandal. Reporters camped outside our duplex, shouting questions as I pushed Lily's stroller to the courthouse. I pled guilty, tearful and contrite, while Edward and Richard sat in the gallery, stone-faced pillars of respectability. 6 months in a federal camp upstate. Women's prison, low-key, with yoga classes and a library of Danielle Steele novels. I wrote letters to Lily every night, smudged with ink and homesickness, while Richard visited twice, both times reeking of scotch and excuses. When I got out, the Whitmans had rewritten the script. The house in Bellevue was ours, a sprawling McMansion with a 3-car garage and a view of Lake Washington, bought with laundered gratitude. Richard was partner at the firm now, Edward retired to golf in Palm Springs, Margaret hosting fundraisers for the symphony. I was the redeemed sinner, trotted out at barbecues as proof of family loyalty. "Alex took one for the team," Richard would say, clapping my shoulder like I was the family dog. And I swallowed it for Lily. She was 5 when I came home, all pigtails and questions. "Mommy, why were you at the bad hotel?" I'd hug her tight, whispering, "It was a vacation, baby. Just a long one." Years blurred into suburbia. Soccer practices, PDA bake sales, Richard's affairs that I ignored like background noise. Lily grew up fierce, like me, top of her class at Bellevue High, captain of the debate team, with my dark curls and Richard's sharp jaw. But the Whitmans never let me forget. Holiday dinners were minefields. Margaret's passive digs about my time away. Evelyn, Richard's sister, the viper in pearls, eyeing Lily like she was a stray cat we'd adopted. "She looks just like you, Alex," Evelyn would say, sipping Chardonnay. That wild streak. By Lily's senior year, the rot surfaced. She started dating Tyler, a kid from the wrong side of the tracks, tattoos, dropout vibes, the kind of boy who made Margaret clutch her pearls. "He's trash," Richard growled over Thanksgiving turkey. But Lily was in love, or thought she was, and by spring, she was pregnant. She told us in the kitchen, voice steady as steel, "I'm keeping it. We're getting married after graduation." The room went silent, forks hovering. Then Margaret exploded, "Over my dead body. That boy's a thug. And you, Lily, throwing away your future like some hood rat." The fight escalated fast. Richard sided with his mother, as always, bellowing about family honor while Evelyn nodded like a bobblehead. Lily fired back, calling them hypocrites, and in the heat, she let slip what I'd buried deep. "At least I'm not covering for Grandpa's bribes like Mom did." The air sucked out. Eyes turned to me, accusatory, like I'd been the criminal all along. Richard's face twisted. Betrayal? Or was it fear? "What the hell, Alex? You told her." I hadn't, not the details. Lily had pieced it together from old news clippings, my prison letters she'd found in the attic. But now it was out, festering. Christmas Eve came like a storm front. We'd gathered at the Whitmans' estate. Edward back from golf, Margaret in her cashmere sweater set, Evelyn with her husband, the bland accountant who nodded at everything. Lily arrived late, belly just starting to show under her coat, Tyler's ring glinting on her finger. Dinner was civil until the eggnog flowed, and Margaret cornered her by the tree. "You're not bringing that bastard into this family," she hissed, loud enough for the room. Lily laughed, bitter. "Family? This is a cartel, Grandma. Mom went to jail for your lies." Chaos erupted. Edward slammed his fist. Richard grabbed Lily's arm. "Apologize." And Evelyn shrieked, "Get out. Both of you." They dragged her to the door, coats thrown at her feet, while I stood frozen, heart hammering. Lily looked back at me, eyes pleading, "Mom." I stepped forward, voice cracking. "You can't do this. She's your blood." "Blood?" Evelyn spat. "Your blood, maybe. Not ours." Richard met my gaze, cold as December. "Choose, Alex. Her or us." And in that split second, the chain snapped. I chose. "Then it's her." Lily bolted into the snow, and I followed. But they barred the door, Margaret's voice muffled through the glass. "Don't come back. You're dead to us." We drove in silence to my sister's in Tacoma, Lily's hands shaking on her phone, texting Tyler. "They hate me," she whispered. "They hate us both." I gripped the wheel, the wipers slashing at the flurries, and felt the old rage bubble up. The years of silence, the mortgage paid with dirty money, the life I'd rebuilt on their lies. No more. As the city lights blurred, I made the call that would unravel it all. To the one reporter who'd covered my trial, the one who'd whispered back then that the Whitmans were rotten to the core. "It's Alexandra Hayes," I said. "I have proof, and I'm ready to talk." The next morning, Christmas Day, dawned gray and unforgiving, the kind of Pacific Northwest light that seeps into your bones like regret. Lily slept on my sister's couch, curled around a throw pillow, while I paced the kitchen, nursing black coffee and scrolling through the encrypted drive I'd hidden in the cloud for a decade. Photos of falsified ledgers, emails from Edward to shell accounts in the Caymans, even a blurry recording I'd made during one of Richard's drunken confessions, him admitting how they'd framed me as the fall guy to protect the family name. "It was business, Alex," he'd slurred that night, post-release party at the club. "You were collateral." I hadn't touched it since prison, not even when Lily started asking questions at 15, piecing together why her friends' moms whispered behind my back. "Why'd you go to jail, Mom?" "For what?" I deflected with half-truths. White-collar mistake, bad advice from lawyers. But now it was ammunition. I forwarded the files to Jenna Ruiz, the investigative journalist who'd hounded me during the trial. She'd gone freelance after the Times axed her for being too aggressive, but her byline still carried weight in outlets like The Stranger and ProPublica. "Merry Christmas," I texted. "This is the real story. Exclusive if you run it raw. Her reply came fast. Holy shit, Alex. This buries them. Meet me in Seattle tomorrow? I agreed, heart pounding like a bass drum. Lily woke to the smell of bacon. My sister, Carla, flipping strips in her ratty robe, the one she'd worn since her divorce. What's the play, Lex? Carla asked, sliding plates over. Lily rubbed her eyes, belly a soft curve under her hoodie. Mom? You okay? I told them, halting at first, then spilling it all. The bribes, the setup, how I'd signed away a year of my life so Richard could climb the ladder. Lily's fork clattered. You, for them, after everything. Carla cursed under her breath, but her eyes said she wasn't surprised. She'd warned me back then. Whitmans eat their young, sis. Lily reached for my hand, tears welling. We fight back. For both of us. But revenge isn't a straight shot. It's a boomerang, carving up everyone in its path. That afternoon, Richard called. I'd blocked him for years, but he used a burner. Coward's move. Alexandra, what the hell? Mom's hysterical. Come home. We can fix this. His voice was silk over gravel, the lawyer's plea. Lily's young. She'll come around. But if you drag up old dirt. Threat hung unspoken. I laughed, low and unfamiliar. Old dirt? That's our daughter's blood money. Richard, you built your empire on my cage. Silence. Then, it was for the family. You knew that. I hung up, but the doubt crept in. Was it? Lily was family too, and they discarded her like yesterday's trash. By evening, Tyler showed up, gangly kid with a lip ring and a beat-up Ford. Eyes wide with that mix of fear and fire you see in boys who grew up dodging cops. He hugged Lily awkward, then turned to me. Mrs. H. Alex, thanks for everything. I nodded, seeing Richard in his earnestness, and it twisted the knife. Was I damning my own bloodline? Jenna met me the next day at a dive bar in Capitol Hill, rain sheeting the windows like a veil. She was sharper now, lines around her eyes from chasing stories in the Trump era, but her handshake was iron. This is dynamite, she said, laptop open to the files. Edward's dead, but Richard's firm? They'll crumble. And Margaret's charity board, poof. We mapped it. Leaked to the feds first, anonymous tip with the docs, then her piece drops like a bomb. But Alex, she warned, stirring her whiskey neat. This torches you too. Custody fights, trust funds yanked. You ready? Was I? That night, back in Tacoma, Lily and I walked the waterfront, fairies cutting through the chop like knives. She leaned on my arm, whispering dreams of a little apartment in Ballard, baby names swirling. Maybe Riley, if it's a girl. We'll be okay, Mom. Without them. But as we turned home, my phone buzzed. Evelyn. Not a call, a video. Margaret, slumped in her solarium, pill bottle nearby, Richard pacing behind. See what you've done? Evelyn's voiceover purred. One word from you, and she ends it. Family first, Alex. Always. Guilt clawed me awake at 3 a.m., sweat-soaked. Was this revenge or suicide? The Whitmans had flipped the script again. Evelyn, the loyal sister, now the manipulator, dangling suicide like a noose. I drove to Bellevue at dawn, the mansion dark except for Richard's study light. He let me in, unshaven, scotch glass in hand. She's fine, he muttered. Mom's a drama queen. But Lily, Jesus, Alex, a shotgun wedding to that punk? We were protecting her. Protecting? I snatched the glass, slamming it down. Like you protected me? By letting me rot. He flinched, then rallied. That Whitman steal. You volunteered. For Lily, remember? Lies layered on lies. I grabbed the photo from the mantel. Us at Lily's baptism, all smiles, and hurled it. Glass shattered, symbolic as hell. I'm done volunteering. The truth comes out. All of it. He lunged, grabbing my wrist. Not hard, but enough to bruise intent. You'll destroy us. Everything I built. For you, for her. We stared, breaths mingling, and for a heartbeat, I saw the boy I'd loved, scared and cornered. Then Evelyn burst in, phone in hand. Cops are coming. Richard, say something. She'd called them? Bluff or real? Chaos. Sirens wailed distant. Richard shoved me toward the door. Go. Before it's too late. I fled, tires spinning gravel, pulse roaring. Back in Tacoma, Jenna's text. Tip sent. Feds en route to Whitman's. Your move. Lily waited up, eyes red. What now? I pulled her close, the baby kicking between us like a Morse code warning. Now we wait for the shatter. But the unraveling hit fast. By noon, news alerts pinged. Whitman law firm raided in historic bribery probe. Richard's face on every channel, cuffs glinting under flashbulbs. Margaret's overdose attempt leaked. Pills and a note blaming the betrayer. Code for me. Evelyn went radio silent, but her husband called, voice oily. Pull the story, Alex. Or we sue for defamation. Families suing everyone. Polarizing already. Online forums lit up. Justice for Alex trending beside Protect the Whitmans. Debates raging on who was the real villain. Lily scrolled it all, pale. They're saying I started it. That I'm the slut who broke the family. I snatched the phone. They're liars. All of them. But doubt festered. Had I just traded one cage for another? That night, Tyler proposed properly, on one knee in the snow, ring from a pawn shop. Lily said yes, tears freezing on her lashes. I toasted with cheap champagne, but inside, the boomerang arced back. Revenge tasted like ash. January thawed into mud, the kind that sucks at your boots and never lets go, mirroring the mess I'd made. The raids turned into indictments. Edward's ghost haunted the headlines, his estate frozen pending asset forfeiture. Richard posted bail, $2 million, dropped by some old cronies, but the firm dissolved overnight, partners scattering like rats. Margaret checked into a wellness retreat in Arizona. Evelyn playing gatekeeper with press releases full of victimhood. A loving family under siege by past sins. Sins. As if I'd scripted the whole damn opera. Jenna's piece dropped mid-month, a 5,000-word gut punch in The Atlantic. The Fall Girl. How one woman's sacrifice built a dynasty on lies. It quoted my prison letters, anonymized but raw, and included the recording. Richard's voice slurring the truth, tinny but damning. America ate it up. Podcasts dissected it. Reddit threads debated if I was hero or harpy. She took the fall for in-laws, feminist icon, versus enabler. Stayed for the money. Lily monitored it obsessively, her belly swelling like a secret she couldn't hide. Tyler worked double shifts at the auto shop, saving for cribs, while I lawyered up, pro bono from a women's advocacy group, iron-willed Maria, who smelled blood. Countersue, Maria advised over diner fries in Pioneer Square. Defamation, emotional distress. Hit M where it hurts, the pride. The Whitmans countersued first, naturally, Richard claiming alienation of affection, Evelyn tacking on invasion of privacy. Court dates loomed, a circus of depositions where Evelyn flip-flopped like a politician, tearful in private, we're sisters, Alex. Venomous on record, she poisoned Lily against us. During one, under fluorescent buzz, she leaned close. You think you're avenging? This just proves you're trash. Always were. Her words landed like hooks, reeling me back to the trial. Me in orange, her in the front row, smirking. But now, with Lily's ultrasound pics pinned to my fridge, I pushed harder. I leaked more, emails showing how Richard had funneled plea money into offshore trusts, including one for Lily. Ironic, that. The feds seized it, leaving her future in limbo. She confronted me one rainy evening, rain pattering the trailer roof we'd rented in Kent. Cheap, but ours. Mom, that money. It was for college. My kid's college. Her voice cracked, hand on her bump. Was it worth it? I wanted to lie, say yes, but the word stuck. I thought so. God, baby, I thought it'd free us. She softened, pulling me into a hug that smelled of cocoa butter and fear. It did. Sort of. Tyler nodded from the couch. Video game paused. Solid kid, turning out. But the reckoning escalated. Richard cornered me outside court, rain-slicked steps of the federal building in Seattle. No lawyers, just us, umbrellas clashing like swords. Call it off, Alex. I'll sign the divorce clean, give you the house. His eyes, bloodshot, searched mine. For Lily. Lily, I scoffed, water dripping from my hood. You threw her out, remember? He grabbed my elbow, desperate. I panicked. Mom. She has her ways. But I love her. Our girl. Love. The word twisted, because part of me believed him. The boy who'd proposed under the Space Needle, fireworks blooming like promises. But then Evelyn's car pulled up, horn blaring, and she yelled from the window. Get in. Richard. Don't fraternize with the enemy. He hesitated, then dropped my arm, vanishing into the sedan like smoke. That night, the twist hit. An anonymous email from a burner. Attached, a paternity test, dated last spring. Lily's. Not Tyler's father, The results showed 99.9% match too. Richard. My stomach dropped. No, it couldn't. But the math. Her affair with Tyler started summer. But she'd been distant before, skipping dinners, phone glued to her hip. Richard's late client meetings. Incest? No, stepfather, but the taboo scorched. The email's note. Keep digging, Alexandra. Family secrets cut deepest. A friend. Who? Evelyn. Some feds leak? I confronted Lily at dawn, test trembling in my hand. She paled, then crumbled. It was a mistake, Mom. One night. He was drunk, saying you didn't love him anymore. I hated you for staying, for the lies. Sobs racked her. I didn't know. Until the test. Richard, my husband, preying on our daughter amid the holiday hell. The betrayal layered infinite. He'd not just framed me, but broken her. Rage boiled, pure and volcanic. I drove to the mansion, uninvited, pounding the door until Evelyn answered, silk robe askew. What the? I shoved past, finding Richard in the study, papers strewn. You monster, I hissed, test flung like confetti. He scanned it, face draining. Alex, wait. Evelyn snatched it, eyes widening, then narrowing to slits. This changes nothing. She's lying. To hurt us. But Richard cracked, sinking into his chair. I was lost. It was once. Once. As if. Evelyn rounded on him. You idiot. After everything. Her loyalty flipped, now protecting the empire, not the man. She turned to me, venom sweet. Take it public, and Lily's ruined. Teen mom scandal on steroids. Polarizing perfection. Expose him, destroy my daughter. Stay silent, let the snake slither free. I left, mind a whirlwind. Maria called that afternoon. Feds want your testimony. Full immunity. But immunity for what? The revenge that birthed this monster? Lily begged me over takeout Thai. Don't, Mom. Let it die. Tyler backed her, quiet strength. But the boomerang spun wild now, slicing all sides. The climax brewed in February, a mediation at a neutral law office in downtown Seattle. Neutral my ass. Richard's old firm buddy presiding. Tensions crackled. Margaret via video, medicated haze. Evelyn glaring daggers. Richard slumped, defeated. Lily refused to come, Tyler at her side. We circled the table like wolves. Settle, the mediator droned. Drop suits, non-disclosure. I laughed. For what? Your silence fun. Evelyn leaned in, voice a whisper shout. Because we know your secret too. That miscarriage in prison? Not natural. You fought a guard, Alex. Covered it up. Lie? Half-truth. I'd scrapped with an inmate over a stolen letter. Lost the baby I'd barely known I had. Guilt I'd buried. They flipped again, weapons drawn. I stood, chair scraping. Then let it all burn. Walked out, called Jenna mid-stride. Add the test. Anonymized. But run it. The decision. Shatter them, scars and all. As sirens wailed, protesters outside. Me too for Alex signs waving. The reckoning peaked. Right or wrong? Hell if I knew. March roared in like a lion with a grudge, winds howling off the sound, mirroring the storm I'd unleashed. Jenna's follow-up hit like a freight train. Dynasty of deceit, incest, lies, and the woman who exposed it all. Anonymized, yes, Lily as Jane Doe, Richard as prominent Seattle attorney. But the dots connected fast. Twitter exploded. Whitman scandal trending nationwide. Late-night posts cracking dark jokes about family trees branching wrong. ProPublica dug deeper, unearthing more skeletons. Edward's not the first Whitman with sticky fingers. Great-grandpa's prohibition bootlegging funded the timber fortune. The fallout fractured everything. Richard holed up, law license suspended. Whispers of suicide watch after Evelyn found him with pills. Karma's echo of Margaret, or her staging another flip. She denied it publicly, tear-streaked on local news. False accusations from a vengeful ex. We're victims here. Victims. The word curdled milk. Margaret returned from rehab, selling the mansion at fire sale price to cover legal fees. Her symphony board ousting her amid donor pullouts. Carla called me laughing. Karma's a bitch in pearls, sis. But victory tasted Pyrrhic. Lily went into labor early, stress, the doc said, delivering Riley in a chaotic Bellevue ER. Me holding her hand through contractions that felt like atonement. Tiny girl, red-faced and wailing, with Richard's blue eyes staring back innocent. Tyler paced the hall, new dad terror in his tattoos. She's perfect. he said, cradling her like glass. Lily, exhausted on the bed, met my gaze. You did this. For us. Did I? Or had I just traded their pride for our peace? The courts wrapped in April, a plea deal brokered in shadows. Richard copped to the bribery revival. 5 years federal, no incest charge, buried under NDAs. Evelyn walked, her countersuit dismissed as frivolous, but her marriage imploded. Hubby citing moral turpitude, code for not wanting the taint. She called me once, voice broken over voicemails I deleted. You win, Alex. But at what cost? We're all monsters now. Maybe. Her flips, loyal to empire, then family, then self, mirrored mine. Betrayed to protector, victim to avenger. We moved to Portland that summer, a fresh start in a rainy city that felt like Spokane's forgiving cousin. I waitressed again, irony's wink, at a hipster spot slinging craft beers, saving for community college redux. Lily and Tyler married small, backyard with wildflowers, Riley gurgling in a bassinet. Jenna interviewed me for a book deal, but I demurred. Some stories end quiet. The twist lingered, though, the debate that split dinner tables and therapy sessions. Online, forums raged. Alexandra's a saint. Exposed the patriarchs. Versus vigilante. Destroyed innocence for spite. Polarizing as promised. Even Maria, over coffee in the Pearl District, admitted, you blurred the lines, Lex. No heroes left. One crisp October evening, as leaves turned fire orange, Richard's letter arrived, forwarded from the prison address. No stamp, just his scrawl. Alex, I write from a cell that smells like regret. You were right to shatter it. But Lily, tell her I'm sorry. Not for the act, but for the weakness that birthed it. The money's gone, but the trust once said, untouchable, for her and the baby. Use it well. I burned it in the sink, flames licking blue, but the check enclosed. $500,000, skimmed pre-raid, stared up real. Tainted? Or redemption's last flip? I deposited it, anonymous scholarship for Lily's nursing classes, Riley's college fund. No note. Let it haunt him. That Christmas, our first free, we gathered at Carla's, tree strung with dollar store lights, turkey from the QFC. Lily laughed as Riley smeared pie on Tyler's shirt, and I watched, chest full. Happy ending? Or by tragic veil? The Whitmans scattered, Margaret in a condo. Evelyn vanished to who knows where, Richard counting days. I'd borne their crime, birthed their secrets, and in revenge, birthed ours. But as snow fell soft outside, blanketing the scars, I raised my glass, to chains broken. Lily clinked hers, eyes shining, and new ones forged. Was it worth it? Asked the reader. Me? In the quiet after the shatter, I'd say yes. Pride's a fragile god, and gods fall hard.